A marvelous morning to everyone present here. And this is Jayavarshan from Team Impact. The guest speaker with us is Kritivasan S, who is an HR for past 17 plus years and himself a third time TED speaker. Morning, sir. Thank you. And let me dive into my questions. My first question is, what drives someone purpose to pursue an MBA?
MBA is primarily for someone who wants to get deeper into the business, deeper into the organization, and doesn't want to be more of a specialist. Like if you do your engineering, you can be a specialist, you can be like a developer, senior developer, architect. But if you decide to move into the management track, having an MBA will give you a flavor of how to drive the business, how to be more either a number oriented or a people oriented. Management is all about people. It's all about managing people, especially if it's within HR, which the space that I come from. It's purely into people management, except a few roles where the introvert doesn't fit, or basically component kind of a roles where introvert can never introvert are the one who fit component, because if they are an extrovert, the company secrets are out. But in short, people who are or candidates who are more inclined towards people are best suited for the MBA or the masters.
It is more often taught with the theories and books, right? So how it is when we compare it to the real-time experience, how it is so different from the theories and books?
Trust me myself, graduating from one of the best school in Asia, I can hands down tell you that what they teach you inside the classroom and the reality is different. But having said that, theoretical knowledge is very, very important, because that's your base. If your base is strong, you know the concepts, you know the fundamentals. On top of it, building on top of it is much easier. Without knowing the base, you can never build on top of it. So the core education, the primary aim is to give you those basics and fundamentals, but you got to do a lot. That's why we emphasize, even in engineering, but more so when it comes to MBA, we tell them that the second year should be more of hands-on. We should go explore, do it, try it, because especially if you're HR, saying that you're a people person and sitting inside the classroom will never make you a people person. We should go out there, explore, talk to people, understand what do they do, what different companies do, get to know them better, and that is what makes the key differentiator in everyone's life.
Okay. You said what are the things you do to retain the top talents of the B Foods?
Honestly, in my career, I have worked with 4 different companies. So this is the 5th company. I'm also doing some gigs in between, different industries, different background. So I wouldn't say B schools. I would say talent. So we normally try and avoid, especially in my current organization, we try and avoid creating a layer stating that he's from a tier 1, he's from a tier, he's tier 2. For us, end of the day, all are human beings, and we expect one level of knowledge and skill set, and that's A players, the top notch. And you might be from any institute. You come from ISB, you come from XLRA, or you come from any year 2 engineering college. For us, we pay the same salary. We give them the same thing. The kind of work that you will do is the same. Everything is the same. We, in fact, we are now experimenting something called multidisciplinary role. This is something that not many companies are doing. Legacy companies, every other company has a standard team of fins, management, everything. So you 10, 20, 30 different teams. But in the current the role that I'm doing, in that company, we are very particular. Have only X number of people, but those X number of people are specialists. And they are called as not just jack of all trades, they're also master of us. So that's why we pay the premium salary, because we need that kind of people. Since we are getting that kind of people, the dependency of one person saying that no, he was supposed to do it, he was supposed to do it. No, we say that boss, you're the owner. So that means you own that region, you own every other piece of that particular region. No excuses. So for us, retaining them is very simple. You show them carrot. You tell them that you own this region. Now you own the PNL. You own everything. And there is so much of, we call it as work-life integration. We don't even call it as work-life balance. So balance means we make sure that you leave at 6 o'clock. We make sure that Sunday is a holiday. That is balance. Integration is, there are meetings at the day, and the meetings is for about 3 hours. Now you have work, you need to call someone, and if you know that they are working in the US, you need to make calls in the evening time. There are some work, you have to do some analysis and research. Doesn't require you to call anybody. That means you just need couple of hours to sit in your laptop and do it. You do it any part of the day.
Yeah.
So you don't have to literally work for 9 to 6. You work 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the afternoon, 6 hours in the evening. That's it. That's work-life. It is all about the smart work. Exactly.
Yeah. So my final and there's some question I can ask you is like HR is almost for past 100 years. We can keep that. What are the things that have been revolutionized? Like what are the modern day practices of an HR?
There are so many things that has happened. Okay, like even now we are talking about agentic AI that's coming in. Whether the HR practice, what's going to be like, the employees can actually have a conversation, but not with a real human, but with the agent AI, who's gonna respond and give instant response and instant support and all those things. But having said that, this is all only to an extent. This can only handle up to certain level. It can never get into the shoes of empathy. It can never get into the shoes of the genuine human connection.
No, because the AI, it is not a human.
The human connection is still needed. Today, I'll feel happy if I talk to you. If you give me an AI, the AI can give me like umpteen number of solutions and everything, but it can never help me. If I ask, hey, you have been knowing me for quite some time, we have been seeing me, can you judge? It can only give you a prediction basis whatever that it knows about me, but it can never create a judgment. But as a human being, you can always judge saying that I've seen this is what had happened, when you did this is what had happened. I can give you a judgment. They can never give you a judgment.
Yeah. Sir, my final controversial question. Like recent time people have said you want to work for this much hours per week, that much hours per week. What do you think on that?
I don't want to get into the controversy part, but trust me, I have been in companies where I have worked more than 100 hours. I have worked in companies where I have spent very little hours. End of the day, some people say that that's why the stress happens, that's why they burn out and all those things. In my opinion, after having worked for 17 years, if I have to be brutally honest in one thing, if you love what you do, there won't be a single day of work. If you love what you do, you will never feel like you're working. If you don't love what you do, even 1 hour of work feels so much stressful. It's like, if you don't enjoy what you do, you would really hate it. If you love what you do, you will just fall for it.
So end of the day, HR is falling for the people.
Absolutely. And making sure that the people also fall for their work.
Yeah. Getting their productivity mostly tip.
Exactly.
That has been a great time with sir, and it has really made me think on how HR is as a career, like another than some stereotypical aspects. And it's been a great time with you, sir.
And thank you. And wonderful 2025.
Thank you, sir.